Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Friday, March 12th. So I made it to the end of the week, and it was no doubt an interesting week. I would say a little bit bumpy at times, a lot of movement between the different indices, but overall, good performance. A little bit of strategery, as I like to call it. Just being strategic, of course, with what you're doing and making sure that you're selling into strength. Buying the dip a little bit, buying the dip in certain areas and selling the rip in other areas. We'll talk a little bit about that. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only. And it is Friday, so sometimes I do a little bit of marketing on Fridays. Overall, I think, from what we're doing, in terms of the community of traders that we have at the Tribeca Trade Group, I believe it's second to none. I think we really have a great group of traders. That's the advantage of, trading with, a group of people, such as the Tribeca Trade Group community of traders. Just excellent job all week, just laser focused as usual. Everybody helping each other out, answering each other's questions, and with the goal of making money, and doing it in a nice, respectful way. So, very impressed with, how the week turned out, and just the just the teamwork between everybody. So great job, everybody. And, if you're not a member of Tribeca Trade Group, I usually go over this at the end of the videos, but we'll do this. We'll do this in the beginning of the videos today. Where's my Twitter page? Here it is. Right? You could just go to you could click on the profile link in here. And I think it's good to check out. If you haven't checked out our group and our membership for a month, you get an awful lot of things included. You really do. You get to learn about the MarketWebs indicator. We've got several. We do a webinar every beginning of the month, where we assess, what the MarketWebs indicator is telling us, new value areas for the month, and we go from there. We've had some really great member webinars, talking about different styles of trading. We're going to have another one in a couple weeks with, another trader who trades full time for a living, and going over, what his edge is in the market. But those are some of the really great things that we do. We did a great webinar a little over a month ago with the U.S. investing champion, Oliver. So, really great stuff. And, we're running 3 programs at Tribeca Trade Group. So we'll get into that a little bit. But if you go into our resources tab, you could see, and of course, we've got everything. Obviously we use Slack, we use Zoom at the Tribeca Trade Group. And, here's our trading programs. We've got 3 of them. We just actually rebalanced our last one, the TTG Trend Portfolio, right, where I think we've got 33 names in that now. So, kicked out a couple names after the rotations and some underperformers, and put in some stronger performers. And that is the TTG Trend Portfolio. We do our weekly watch list trade. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, my trading account, so which is doing decently this year. I'll provide an update on that when we get. I guess we are almost halfway through the month already. It's been kind of crazy. February was a short month, right? Only 28 days, of course, but just the way that it lined up, it just ended up being a shorter month. And March, of course, is 31 days, but it does feel like we're like 2/3 of the way through. But it's only the 12th of the month. So anyway, that's everything that you get with a Tribeca Trade Group membership. And again, I think not only is our community, I think, best out there for helping young traders and also experienced traders, but also we've got all the bells and whistles in terms of trading programs, and we use the best technology. I pay per user to put people in to put people in Slack, but it's worth it, right? We have the best trading platform. All right, so let's talk about we'll talk a little bit about today's trades, but let's talk about performance first, right? So, yesterday was a huge growth day, and today was a little bit more of a value day. And I bought a little bit yesterday of some of the value names. I bought J.P. Morgan yesterday, which worked very well. I was able to take some targets in the beginning of the day, but I think right now, and if you look at the performance for some of these things at the end of the day, pot stocks really came in. They did finish. They closed up for the day. Solar stocks finished down for the day, but they came off hard off the lows. The blockchain stocks also, had a nice, trending day. Clean energy stocks did the same thing. So kind of interesting. Your best performers, travel was up there, but retail names, but just kind of a weird weird day, I would say. One area that I don't have on my list, but defense stocks, they did pretty well for the day. Your Qs underperformed, but again, off the lows, which is a good thing. Big move in interest rates again. TLT was down 2.1% for the day. So overall, considering that bond volatility, yields going higher, I think it was pretty good price action to see where the Qs opened versus where they closed. Much better. Diamonds, the Dow continues to be very strong, as is the small caps. And SPY finished just barely in the green for the day. So let's talk a little bit about the technicals. We did close right at the top of value, just to kind of leave off for what we talked about on Thursday in Thursday's video. We closed right at the top of value, so we're back above there. So we're almost out to new highs, and it gets stronger when you look at things like the Dow. Again, I've never talked about the Dow. I've never talked about the Dow probably so much this week, but look at that breakout that you have in the Dow stocks. Very, very strong. Small caps also new high as well. If you want to look at micro caps too, they're out to new highs as well. Qs, continue to be like where the attention is. And I'll tell you, this did get rejected a little bit yesterday, where we talked about we closed right at the bottom of value and kind of backed off there. So we'll see how this goes with these names, and I think it makes sense to pay attention to individual names, of course, and to see if they're showing some relative strength within the Qs. But if you could keep an open mind, there's just better opportunities than there were this week in the Qs. And I know it's the big focus. You turn on financial media, and that's what they're talking. They're talking about growth stocks, and I know they make up a bigger weight in the S&P than value stocks are. But if you could kind of get out of the disguise it a little bit better than talking value versus growth. There's just a lot of good opportunities out there in various different groups of stocks. So keeping an open mind and being objective, and there's been plenty of opportunities. So just to go over the rest of the performance, but you could see here's the performance of value today, up 90 basis points. Growth was down. So again, decent separation, 1.5%. Industrials were also strong again today. They finished up 1.3%. So I got rid of my XLI trade yesterday. It looks like I could have kept it on a little bit longer. If you want to look at Cathie Wood's ETFs, they all finished in the red today. Again, a little bit of a move back there. Performance for the week, right? I do like to go over performance for the week. I have on this top line up here what the performance was for last week, just so that you have it from reference. But you're looking at TLT. That's the one thing that stands out to me. Now down 5% over 2 weeks. So pretty big move there. Again, big move in Dow stocks this week, up 4.2%. Big move, huge move in the small caps, up 7.4% for the week. That's crazy. SPY was great. Qs underperformed a little bit, but still very, very nice performance. When you look at sectors, you had interesting blockchain stocks were up 17%. Retail was up 15%. A lot of that was the meme stocks. You got to remember what's in the XRT ETF. GameStop is the biggest weight in that ETF. Remember, that will be rebalanced next week, right? So XRT, we talked a little bit about that in today's Q&A session. at 1 o'clock that we had. But remember, next week is quadruple witching. One of those witches is index rebalancing. So all the S&P and the NASDAQ indices get rebalanced. For the S&P, that includes, the S&P 500, of course, but also includes, some of their sector ETFs, or what do they call these things? Not subsectors, but I will just say sector ETFs. But they all get rebalanced as well. So you could see GameStop, for example, is 14% of this ETF. This is an equally weighted ETF, so this will get foot back to about 1% of the ETF. So XRT will become a lot less noisy with some of these meme stocks that are in the top weight, and then actually you don't have too many. It's just basically GameStop that's that big of a weight in the ETF. But that'll be next Friday on the close, and we'll talk more about that next week. Other events, of course, next week we have a Fed meeting, right? So Powell speaks. They're in a quiet period right now, so we will hear from them on Wednesday, with again the press conference being the most important. Solar ETFs were up 11% this week. Defense and aerospace stocks, I mentioned they were strong today. They were up 7.7%. Boeing, Raytheon, stocks like that. We'll talk about Boeing in a minute. The banks were up 5% for the week. Interesting, the energy stocks were a little bit weak. They gave back some of their profits. Semiconductors they underperformed for the week. They were still up 1%, but they underperformed. Other things like healthcare and tech also underperformed relative to some of the other sectors. Here's also your international performance down here. Don't think we really need to go into too much detail there, but again, you could see that international developed outperformed emerging this week. Okay, so that's your performance. Let's talk about a couple stocks. Yeah, I think Boeing is probably a good place to start. I did have some Boeing going into today. I did not hold it through the whole session, up 6.8%. And, what strikes me as pretty interesting here is, and we've looked at this Boeing chart before, probably when it did this. And, one of the things that I notice is there's just not, despite the overhead stuff over here, there's just not a lot of overhead resistance, right? There's an R2 Venom, so these are extensions away from the value area. So, you have one around 273. Weekly chart, you've got one around 281. So you got some little things up there, but if this can really get above, continue to carry 337, could be an area that Boeing gets to. So, and I think dips get bought, and while this is beginning to trend, but this is what I was referring to, in terms of some things that are really starting to trend, and some nice opportunities. I think FedEx looks interesting for next week. We did take out that 1 hour VPOC that I think I talked about in yesterday's video. That thing, let's just give Thinkorswim a chance to adjust. So right at the end of the day, Airbnb was particularly strong today. A lot of the travel stocks, that's where I was kind of playing some things today. But Airbnb is a little bit tricky because it's growth, right? So right now you got to catch it on the right day. Other things like I played TripAdvisor. We talked about TripAdvisor in yesterday's video. That got to my upside target. But I like this booking chart as well. Right, so this is Booking Holdings. Right, this is also close to the highs. When you look at some of the airlines, which consolidate a little bit, I took home some Alaska Air. UAL saw some calls. That's also coming out of this little congestion period. So again, these things, right? They have consolidated a little bit. They're not extended. What we want to see in some of these things that have broken out is for them to consolidate, not push back too far down, and start to kind of make up some more, some more upside. Also, some of the restaurants too. We saw Late Day Call Buyer and Cake, right? Cheesecake Factory. Again, take a look. A little bit of digestion, consolidation here, and boom, out 7% and closing on the highs. So, I think really what's particularly interesting is when you look at this whole group. All right, this is the Dynamic Leisure and Entertainment Group. Sure, this thing is now overbought, so as a group, very, very strong. But people getting stimulus checks. That probably a couple places that they're going to go into. They're probably going to put some money to work, maybe on a vacation, maybe some leisure type activities, restaurants. Hopefully to help small businesses, and then probably in the stock market a little bit too. I would have to think that's where people are going to put their money. I have a couple friends we just talked to this week, and they're like, "Hey, we just booked a trip to Aruba, right?" And they're going in like 2 weeks. So, so people I think are really wanting to get out and do things. So for now, these as long as they're not super extended. Now, this to me does look super extended, but when you're going through charts, I think there's plenty of names that are setting up, and as I said in the beginning of the video, having an open mind, about some things. So you could see what I did. Again, didn't take full advantage of this move in Boeing, but made some money in it. I've been trying to trade that one here and there. J.P. Morgan, like I said, position in some. When I said in yesterday's video, I said, "Hey, I might be a little bit too early." Nope, that worked pretty well. Trip was also a nice winner. Disney, I like buying Disney on dips. Disney really didn't do too much, but I think it's a name to watch next week. Again, it's another name that is just consolidating. Consolidating going higher. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired from this week, but trending, a little bit of consolidation out to new highs, consolidation out to new highs, consolidating, and you've got support here at 193. So again, another kind of not a pure opening stock, because they do have some things like they have their Disney Plus, but I think overall this Disney chart looks pretty constructive. GM also was a name that same thing, right? Kind of consolidated here at the recent highs, and I played this today, and up 5%. Ford's another one. I did not trade this one, but Ford's out to new highs. So again, I know I'm focusing on this a lot because I just see when people are tweeting out watch lists, they're just full of growth names. And there's going to be a time for those names. I don't think that growth completely breaks down. I just think it might be lagging a little bit. And you're going to have, I think, some days in the sun for, they're going to shine a couple days. But I think those are days to really take profits. Right? We talked about Tesla a couple times this week. It was a great example. Made the gains all in one day. And hasn't been able to kind of really cross back into the value area for the week over at 720, but still a very profitable week. Just making gains all in one, all in one particular day. All right, so and not every trade was perfect. I tried to trade a little bit of this FUTU. I didn't see that this name reports next week, but you got to be careful when for these 1 hour bars. Right, this did not close above value. It looked like it was going to, so I sent this out and I did put on a call spread for next week, but this thing did not close above the week's value area. So we'll be watching that one next week. I got out of my last piece of applied materials too. Raytheon, which was a nice trade too. I put Raytheon probably about 2 weeks ago, I want to say. This was out to new highs too. So a great day to kind of take some profits in some things and set up nicely for for the next week. But really like overall, very pleased at how I traded this week. This week was not mistake free. And I think with the market is moving as fast as it is, I think it's an important point to realize that you're not going to be error free. You're not going to be mistake free in this type of market. I unwound a couple things at the exact worst time. Airbnb, I kind of sniffed this trade out earlier in the week, and it didn't turn the corner the way I wanted it to, and I took off that trade, and and look at what it did. Right. I also took off last week. I think it was in the beginning of the week, I took off DraftKings. DraftKings made a made a new high. So it's the best thing that you could do for some of these things is to not get hung up on. If you made a mistake, just move on to the next one. There's so many opportunities out there that you're going to find the next one. So if you do something stupid, I do things stupid. I mean, I did a couple of those things. I'm sharing them with you, but I just, you want to make sure that number one, that you are that you're protecting your capital, right? That's the main thing. And when you're doing that, sometimes you will make some mistakes. A couple bright spots I saw today was Snap. Was up 5%, really kind of accelerated into the close. Also in the industrial space, Caterpillar out to new highs again, right? So talking about names that are consolidating, Deere, also more highs, right? So that both of those names were in our watch lists. Actually, we had some pretty decent names in our watch lists. Where is it? Here's our weekly watch list trade. So every Sunday, and that's an advantage of signing up now. Is I actually put 3 videos out for members on Saturday and Sunday. One, our macro video. Number 2, I did a whole video on sectors. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, where I talked about the home builders over the weekend, and you heard people talking about the home builders yesterday in financial media, very late in my opinion. And then we did our weekly watch list trade, and yeah, we had some nice winners in this. We had MasterCard was up 5%. Where is Deere? Deere was up 4%. Caterpillar was up close to 4% as well. The steel ETF. I didn't want to pick one name in steel. I thought the whole group was strong, and it sure was. Look at U.S. Steel. There's a story out, and I think it was by Morgan Stanley, which upgraded U.S. Steel, I think to neutral or something like that. They were saying that because of environmental issues, China is going to may actually start purchasing steel from U.S. companies. STLD, we've talked about this one before, very strong. Nucor also out to new highs. So like I said, I thought it was just, it made sense to go ahead and, sorry, where's my screen here? There it is. To go ahead and buy the whole ETF, and that's what I held for the week. So very nice. Only a couple names that are in the red there. Google just didn't catch. Micron, which I think is a good semiconductor right now, that underperformed for the week. But we had a number of other things. I did have the home builders ETF, and that was also up 4%. All of this is, by the way, is not from Friday's close. The performance is from Friday's open. So for the week, our watch list was up 3.2% for the week, so outperforming SPY from the open of Monday's print. And there's the outperformance for the week. All right, guys. So that is it for this weekend's video. We'll be going through, where relative strength is in this weekend's videos, and talking about where we want to kind of position for going forward in sectors, and then drilling down to individual names. So that'll be in the member videos this weekend, and then of course we'll have the new watch list. What we do is I sell that watch list at 3 o'clock, and I go into SPY. I hold SPY over the weekend, and then I go ahead and buy the new watch list on Monday morning. That's why it's benchmarked to Monday's morning. Have a great weekend, everybody, and see you on Monday.